I didn't want to do this, but I'm doing this because a lot of you wanted me to. So here we go. Tesla Cybertruck versus Rivian R1T pickup truck. I personally think that they're kind of like apples and oranges. I do have to say I like both fruit, but sometimes I like peeling, sometimes I like cutting. So what I'm saying is that I think whichever people are going to be buying one or the other would probably not consider the other option is what they're so different. Now I've gone to both of the unveilings. This is me at the unveiling of the Cybertruck. I was also one of the first people to ride in one. That video is also on my channel, and this is me talking to the CEO of Rivian at their unveiling last year, the LA Auto Show. By the way, I do this a lot. I was fortunate enough to travel to different places to see this unveiling. So only more reason to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you have, click on the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right. Let me tell you something, guys. Here's what I think. I think if this truck, if the Cybertruck did not look this way and looked like a slick version of a regular pickup truck, something that we've seen in a lot of renderings right before the unveiling, I think Rivian would have been in a lot of trouble, because as I'll show you in a second, if you compare the major specs here, Tesla comes on top every time by a good margin too. So I think the fact that it looks this way probably have helped Rivian, I don't want to say survive, but definitely at least keep their course, which have been awesome. I mean, their last years have been amazing. But I will also tell you why some people will prefer Rivian for other reasons that have nothing to do with the actual specs. So we'll leave that for later. But first, let's compare range, right? So 400 miles plus from Rivian to 500 plus miles from Tesla. So I should mention that obviously it's a 1 year apart, right? So maybe by then Rivian can also get to 500 miles as well. But you know, and this is the top, this is the top of the line versions. You know, 100 miles is a lot, but at the same time we are talking about 400 plus mile range. Let me know in the comment section. You know, chime in and let me know if do you think this will make that much of a difference. But nevertheless, Tesla wins this one. The next category is something that's really important to some people and not important to others, but nevertheless, let's talk about maximum towing capacity. And once again, not by a big margin, but by a margin, healthy margin. Tesla wins at 14,000 pounds versus Rivian's 11,000 pounds. Again, feel free to let me know how important it is to you guys, but let's talk about a very important spec, if you will, which is the price. Before that, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV called M-Byte. Look at those monitors. I cannot wait to drive this car. So join myself and tens of thousands of other people who reserved this amazing car. I can't wait. $0 down. Doesn't cost anything to reserve one. Grab the link from the description of this video. Spend about a minute of your time and reserve your Byton today. All right, so let's talk about probably one of the most important comps, specs, probably whenever you're comparing two of anything, cars or whatever, and of course it's price. And these are starting prices, but this where Tesla is really ahead there at about $40,000 starting price. Rivian at $70,000. Now I do have to say here that Rivian will still have the incentives in the United States where Tesla will not. So we're talking about $7,500 right there. And then on top of that, you know, the Tesla, which you get for $40,000 is not as good as what you get for 70. So probably more comparable version would be the $50,000 dual motor version from Tesla. So now we're kind of, if we're comparing, you know, something more and subtracting the tax credit. So we're talking about $50,000 to $62,500, which is a little bit closer, but nevertheless, this is a very healthy gap. And of course, the winner here is the Cybertruck. Now, as I mentioned, you know, Rivian will beat Tesla by about a year at least in terms of going to production. It's going to production about a year, where Tesla will go in production a couple of years. Normally, I would say couple of years, probably 3 years really in Tesla time, but they have been under-promising and over-delivering lately, including the Model Y production, which looks like it's going to be sooner rather than later, sooner rather than what they've promised. That's a first, so that's promising. So we're just gonna leave these dates as they are because we also don't know whether or not Rivian is going to compare, whether or not they actually go in production and ramp up as they've promised us. So that's kind of a wild card. Now, here's why I think Rivian actually will win some hearts that have and they will have nothing to do with the price or other specs. Rivian. I lived in Silicon Valley for a long time, and I moved in Sacramento over a year ago. And I got to tell you, it's two different universes. In Silicon Valley, driving a Tesla is cool, high-tech stuff is awesome, and it's great. But Sacramento is more like a, average America, which is the most of America. And this is where, pickup trucks are cool. And the technology is not as cool. And, driving a Tesla is not cool at all. As a matter of fact, some people would prefer not to drive a Tesla just so their friends don't make fun of them. I know that's overall changing, but I'm just saying that some people would prefer to drive this truck because it looks like more of their Ford truck than the Cybertruck that looks like 5-year-old Druid. Okay, I'm just telling you, don't shoot the messenger. This is what the reality is right now, and this is where people will just gonna have to live with. And this is why I really strongly believe that it is the way the Cybertruck looks that might have just saved Rivian's butt here, because again, the other specs are really there. Now, other things that I think are really important is the investors. And as you know, Rivian just got yet another round at $1.3 million, which now totals more than $3 billion that people invested into it. And once again, Amazon and Ford were part of those rounds. And this is important to people. By the way, do you know what that thing, that curved thing is in the logo? A lot of people think it's a smile, which it's not. Actually, it's an arrow, and I just found this out. So if you already knew that, good for you. But I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. So what it means is apparently is that Amazon has everything that you need there from A to Z. That's why it's pointing from A to Z. Didn't know that. Fun fact. I enjoyed it. Hope you did too. Anyway, I think if you're an Amazon shopper like myself and you know how everything works, when you're buying a truck that will probably either sell through Amazon or have their chargers or other equipment and add-ons sell through Amazon, you'll be like, oh, that part I know. As a matter of fact, I'm already getting something that I'm not really that familiar with. So the fact that everything else will be taken care of, including the installing charging station and having it installed by Amazon, I'll go with that. That's much simpler. So there's some truth to it. And of course, don't forget that Amazon is already the biggest customer of Rivian. They've ordered over 100,000, actually 100,000 of delivery vans. So Rivian already has that order to get through. And of course, Ford being an investor is another very important thing. Just like I said, most people would rather buy from Ford than Tesla, especially pickup truck drivers. And the fact that Ford is essentially vouched for Rivian here, it's also a big deal. Of course, the fact that Rivian is a brand new company obviously raises questions based on what Tesla had to go through of production hell, right? Like, can they make it? Did they have to figure out? Well, in this case, I would say you can bet on the fact that Ford will be sharing some of the manufacturing know-how, and Rivian will be better off because of that, and will be able to move forward with the production ramp up probably in a smoother manner than anybody else, because they have Ford to guide them. And I think it's a big deal. Of course, Rivian will be providing some of the parts, it looks like, for Ford and Ford's brand Lincoln. So there's that, and Ford is coming up with their own all-electric pickup truck, which is great. I can't wait for that as well. But this is a big deal to a lot of people. So Ford and Amazon, putting so much trust and pretty much vouching for this brand is a big deal for a lot of other people. Now, I do want to mention that Rivian does have some really cool feature. They got a little kitchen, a little tunnel, but also very recently, actually, this was kind of a Christmas present for everybody, released this video of what they're calling it a tank turn. And this is pretty cool. Check it out. Because they have motors, 4 motors, 1 on each wheel, they can pretty much do this. And hey, I can see people, at their off-road parties doing this and dancing around in their Rivians. So this is kind of cool, right? And really, to a bigger point here, I think that I think Rivian has, in this year, since they've unveiled their prototypes, I think they won hearts and minds of a lot of people in some niches like off-roading and overlanding and so forth. I think Rivian is the only sort of accepted brand by Tesla fans. Tesla fans usually just like Tesla and nothing else, but Rivian has been okay with them. And on the other side also, I feel like people who just do not like electric cars in general say, you know what, but Rivian, I might buy that. So I gotta tell you, Rivian has slowly sipped through everyone's hearts, and I think that a lot of people will buy it because of that. But I'm gonna stick to my guns and tell you that I think because of the way Cybertruck looks, it probably rejected some of the customers that could have gone that way, that were originally going to get Rivian and now will get Rivian as it's going in production in just about a year, which is, by the way, one of the most exciting things I think in 2020. We just did a video with Tom about it. It will be posted on Saturday, so check that out. And of course, just for that reason, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. And of course, thank you so much for those of you who are watching me on Patreon. My Patreons are contribute to this channel along with my sponsors and allow me to travel around, bring you this news, do this every day. You know, it's Christmas today and I'm still doing this. I have not missed a day in 2 years, sick, away, different country, no internet, doesn't matter. You have a video from me every day. So thank you to those of you who have contributed, specifically Taylor Lincoln, one of my newer Patreons. Thank you for supporting me. If you want to watch me live and contribute to this channel, go to patreon.com/E4Electric. And of course, that link is also in the description of this video. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Which one would you choose and why, Cybertruck or Rivian? Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.